let's first get into it. Cam Neely giving us updates. So it's press conference, Don Sweeney, Cam Neely, Jim Montgomery was present as well.
Yep.
And obviously the biggest question of this camp is basically, what is it with Jeremy Swayman? What's the status? What Don Sweeney was saying is basically they're in constant communication with Louis Gross, his agent, and Swayman's camp. They're punting on him playing in any exhibition games. They're hoping that he'll be back for the start of the regular season, which is October 8th in Florida against the Panthers. But as they've said, Jonas Korpisalo, who they traded for in the Linus Ullmark trade, looks like he'll be the day one netminder.
Yeah.
Situation as it stands before we get into the quotes, Trav, the way I look at it is that Swayman's still holding strong. He has his price. There's no budging.
Sure.
The Bruins are hoping Jonas Korpisalo can hold it down 5-10 games. If he comes out and he's serviceable and he's good, then all of a sudden the pressure on Sway's camp goes, all right, you got to play. But if you can't get the job done, then Swayman's camp's going, you need to pay him now because you guys need him. You got Lindholm. You got Zadorov. You have Pasta, McAvoy, other Lindholm, Marchand. You need Sway.
Yeah, but I don't like that game plan because
that's what they're going with.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Let's go back in the time, you and I, because we sat here after those Bruins playoff games, and we waxed poetic of Swayman's performance in those games. Oh, the Bruins shouldn't even have been in this game, but Swayman stood on his head. Oh, the Bruins won this game because of his performance, yada, yada, yada. And then we both said, when we get to the offseason, no matter what the number is, pay the man, right? We get into the offseason, you move Ullmark, so all the writing's on the wall, like, okay, it's Sway's time.
Yeah.
Here's where I don't understand the disconnect. And I'm going to use you and I as examples because what we do for a profession, we work in contracts, we negotiate. Mm-hmm. Generally, you're not walking into a negotiation, let's call it day of, with a number in mind, and then hammering out a deal that day. This is a song and dance that is played, and it feels like it takes forever, right? Your employer has a number, you have a number. If all things go well, you meet in the middle, and you're happily ever after, amen, right?
Yeah.
But I'm so confused as to this guy did his part, did great regular season, great postseason. I do understand the narrative that, hey, we haven't seen Jeremy Swayman as the man yet. I get it, right? But he did his part. Then I thought for sure this offseason this would get done quickly. You know what Sway wants. The number, and you said this beautifully as you set this up, he's not budging. That means the number's been there. You know what he wants. Why would you move off of Ullmark and make all the signs point to we're going to give Swayman the opportunity to be the man for the first time in his career if you didn't mean it? I just don't understand where the disconnect is between what the player's asking for and what the team's willing to give. If that disconnect was there from the beginning, so let's assume it was, then what have we been doing this whole time? Is that not what a negotiation is, to meet somewhere in the middle? And if you're the Bruins, I think you may have moved too hastily to move off of Ullmark because you didn't have a deal done and you knew you were miles apart, assuming that that's the case. If you were close from the beginning, Sway's number's this, we're here, then negotiate and get it done. Where we're at now, in my opinion, George, is worst case scenario.
Oh, 1,000%.
This is worst case.
Because if you don't trade Linus Ullmark, your leverage is, well, you have Linus Ullmark.
Yes.
Now you're banking on Jonas Korpisalo, who was bad with the Ottawa Senators, but playing behind a good Bruins, 5 skaters in front of them, a lot can change, especially getting under goalie.
Sure it can.
Where the disconnect comes from me is what Cam Neely had to share today. What can you share in the details? What can you say about Swayman? We have the sound right here from the press conference. Check it out. This is Cam Neely.
I have 64 million reasons why I'd be playing right now.
And I'll dovetail to that. There's been stories around saying he's looking to reset the goalie market. Do you feel that's the case?
I do, yeah. I do.
In context to what?
Well, just what his ask is and what we believe his comp group is are two different things.
So let's start the first part of that. I don't want to get into the weeds with what his ask is, but I know that I have 64 million reasons why I'd be playing right now.
Right.
Let's assume that 64 is an 8x8. 8 years, $8 million a year.
Okay.
I was like, hey, maybe it's 10 years, $6.4 million a year. But Jeremy Swayman would be dumb to take that contract.
Yeah, I like 8.
The 8x8 would give him the 6th highest annual salary in the NHL for goalies.
Sure.
Carey Price, Sergei Bobrovsky, Connor Hellebuyck, Ilya Sorokin, who all got deals as unrestricted free agents. Then there's Andrei Vasilevsky, who was a restricted free agent, got an 8x9.5.
And Shesterkin is coming. He's next offseason.
And that's the second part of it. Let's start with the first. But then the second part is what his ask is and what he believes his comp group is.
Yes.
Are two different things. His ask to me sounds like he'd want to get ahead of the market.
Yes.
And wait, because Ilya Sorokin's deal is coming down, where the Carey Price deal of $10.5 million a year, that's going to become 11 or 11.5 for Sorokin. And it sounds like Swayman wants to get into that neighborhood. 9.5, maybe 10,
Fair.
maybe more.
Fair.
No.
I think it's fair.
No. Because Vasilevsky got 8x9.5 as a restricted free agent. 64, 53, 52. That was his starts those 3 seasons in the range of getting that contract.
Sure.
Igor Shesterkin, 52, 58, 55. Games played or started, whichever way you want to look at it. Ilya Sorokin, who is okay, is a serviceable goalie.
Yeah.
Swayman's one of the best. 52, 60, 55. Games played.
Yeah.
Jeremy Swayman's the last 3 years, 39, 33, 43.
He was with one of the best goalies in the game, not named Jeremy Swayman.
I don't care.
Though.
There is a wear and tear you have to prove. You take that 8x8, $64 million, and you know what? If you don't want that and you want to wait for Sorokin, why not take a 3x8? Give me that $8 million a year for 3 years. When I'm 28 and I show to you I can be a 55 plus a game guy.
You can be the man.
And Sorokin resets the market.
Yeah.
And the cap goes up and you guys have more cap space, then pay me. And you know what? At that point, I'll go with 5x10. We'll split it down the middle.
Yeah.
And then that all together, that is $74 million he would make over the same span instead of $64 million.
Well, you're breaking it down into 2 separate deals, right?
And that's where that's where it comes to what his ask is and what we believe his comp group are is 2 different things.
Sure.
But the $64 million reasons why that has to be an 8x8 contract.
It sounds like such a frustrating answer too. You can hear the frustration
from Cam Neely
in Cam Neely's voice.
We heard the frustration from Don Sweeney with the disappointment with himself. Because to your point, he goes like, this was my priority.
Yes.
We need to get better down the middle. I got us Elias Lindholm.
Yeah.
We needed to add on the blue line, Zadorov, right?
Yep.
We need to keep Swayman in net for the Bruins. He was the guy in the playoffs. Can he do it for 55 to 60 games in the regular season, then become that stallion in the postseason?
I believe he can.
But it isn't proven. And that's one thing I understand from the Bruins side. You need to get it done.